I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, May the 11th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Here on Monday, they got a pretty good run, 5,000 head, and then they're going to have one of their video sales there at the barn right at the conclusion of the regular Monday feeder cattle auction there. But be sure and log on to joplinstockyards.com or dvauction.com, and you can view and bid right there at that auction. Also, I want to mention the Reds at the Big Bend auction that's going to be coming up Wednesday night here, May the 13th at 6 p.m. Central at Keosauqua, Iowa sale barn there. They've got about 500 head of commercial Red Angus replacement stock there. It's going to be on dvauction.com also, so don't forget about that sale. It's been 2 months, really, since we've known that this coronavirus was going to affect the cattle market big time. We had heard rumblings about it back in February and as we turned from February to March. But when we first got into March, that week of March the 9th was the first time that it became evident that this was going to crater your cattle business, as they talked about shutting down your restaurants, making people be closed up. And then that was the first hint also that we were going to have trouble keeping our packing plants open. But in that 2 months, if you look back, your fat cattle market is about the same. $115 was your top price on fats last week. They had some at $110, but probably going to have a weighted average price on live steers somewhere in between that. But that week of March the 9th there, your fat cattle market was $113, and we were expecting it to get tougher as we moved closer towards the summer and closer towards those bigger numbers. Your feeder cattle are about $10 lower, and not that we were expecting that. We probably would be better off than that on your feeders, but calves probably took the brunt of it. They're still $20 to $30 lower than they were, but our turnout dates have passed now. But the heck of it is, a lot of guys haven't sold cattle that they normally would have sold on a better market. But we can sure find a lot of places to argue about how bad this deal's been on the cattle people, but for the market itself, on the cattle market, it hasn't been that bad. The problem is the absolute gouging on our box beef cutout values by your big packers. And so we've known that, we've established that, and we want to continue to bring attention to that. Well, if you look back on March the 9th when we first saw that, we had choice cutout sitting at 207.47. Friday afternoon they closed at 460.88. That's an advance of 122% in price level there in 2 months' time. They've gone up. Well, they've more than doubled by far, because of course 122%, but up 253.41 in 2 months there. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And we've occasionally come in here and do the cowboy math and show you how ridiculous it is. And if you take those cutout values, your select on Friday was at 448.99. So then you take those corresponding figures with your national steer and heifer grade average there, and you come out and add those up, and you've got your cattle, according to the box beef cutout values, your cattle should be bringing 458.70 dressed. And we had some bring 180, maybe one deal at 183. They should be bringing 458.70. You take that times 63.5% dressing percentage, you get 291.27 is what your live fat cattle should be bringing. 291.27, nearly $3 a pound live steers on the hoof. We got 115 on the outside. That was the absolute top. Unbelievable. You take that not times a 1,300 pound steer. A typical steer now weighs 1,500. Takes that time a 1,500 pound steer, and you see that they're making, not bringing, that's not what they're getting for the meat, for the dressed beef. They are making $2,644 per head or per carcass. Kind of get by on that. Plus they get to keep the $90 drop value, which At one time back in history, they figured that they could slaughter those cattle for the drop value. That was their expenses. May not be their expenses anymore, but they're not having any trouble covering their expenses. But I tell you what, just about anybody that's got a brain that has any political pull has sent letters in to get an investigation going against the Packers for antitrust, for price gouging, price fixing, collusion, whatever you want to call it, everything but pulling a pocket knife on somebody. But and we feel like that's happening, and we're starting to see the results of that as the guys with the badges come in there and start asking the right questions. We've seen some of your Packers that kind of want to save face, Cargill for the most part, and National to a certain extent. They're coming in and raising these prices a bunch. They were buying cattle in the low 90s or mid 90s there earlier in the week, and then we established a trade at 110 on Friday. They come out with 115. We'd sold a lot of cattle at 160 dressed. Then we had 180 being paid later in the week, and even a deal or two at 183. So it is making a difference. If the feedlot guys that were the ones that are trying to sell cash, of course we know that the Packers don't need a lot of cattle. They're backed up as it is, but they will come out here, and they will come out early in the week trying to buy cattle again. And you think, why are they buying any cattle at all? They've got to establish some kind of a price. I know we don't have true price discovery, but they've got to come up with some kind of a price level to base all the rest of their formulas off of. So, the guys could come out and ask for $150 for their live fats, or maybe $160 or $65, and it would sure not be out of the possibility of them getting it, but nobody's going to hold out for that kind of money. They'll probably ask $1.15 early in the week. We'll have a few outfits come in there and probably buy some cattle at around $1.10 earlier in the week, some regionals and stuff, and then I imagine we'll get back to 115 or 120. But we are starting to pick up our slaughter just a little bit, and our slaughter this past week was 27,000 larger than the week before. We're expecting it to improve again this time. We've got a lot of cattle backed up, but we're going to start seeing improvements here, and I don't know that we need to go to the rash decision to do the set-aside program. I think if we can get these up, like Secretary Perdue thought that we could probably get them up within a couple of weeks. We know how many they can harvest when they really want to, like they did last summer after the Holcomb fire, and maybe by the end of the summer we could get kind of somewhere back to normal. But we did see an announcement late in the week, or over the weekend actually, that President Trump made, that they're going to spend $3 billion here this week, early this week. They said they were going to start on dairy, meat, and produce products for a program called Farmers to Family Food Box. And that just shows you the disconnect between politics and what's going on in agriculture. And there are very few people that can translate it in the middle. And we're not able to get the right terms and the right statements out to those people. Why would we come in here and waste $3 billion when we're having trouble getting the products processed anyway? If they wanted to come in and buy raw milk, if they wanted to come in and buy heavy fat cattle, if they wanted to come in and find workers to come in and pick the produce and the vegetables and things like that, that might help. But buying the finished processed product, that's just going to exacerbate the problems that we're having keeping this stuff affordable out there. And they would be a whole lot better off if they would wait until we get down the line a little bit, and then buy some products after we're seeing too much supply out there. Because I'm telling you, as we start getting these packing plants going again, and you're going to wake up here one of these days within a couple, 3 weeks, and your choice box beef cutout values are going to be down 75, and then they're going to be down 80 the next day. and then they're going to be wanting to pull back on whatever fat cattle price level we have at all then, because they're going to say, look how much it's gone down. But I tell you what, I don't know how much of a fight they're going to have in them. This investigation is going to get pretty heated, I believe, and it's starting to, and we're starting to see the results. But let's look at the futures for last week. June live cattle futures, Monday was up 82 cents, Tuesday off $1.60, Wednesday up the $3 limit, Thursday up the $4.50 limit, and Friday up 67, which is encouraging too, to end the week at 94.65, up $7.40 on your live cattle contracts. August ended the week at 93.05, up a half a dollar. May feeder cattle, Monday was up $1.25, Tuesday up 52 cents, Wednesday up the $4.50 limit, Thursday was up $6.17 on expanded limits there, and then Friday some profit taken of $2.37. It was down, with your May feeder cattle contracts ending the week at 127.90, up 10.08. That's a big gain there on your feeder cattle futures. August ended the week at 136.95, up 9.30. So we're expecting more recovery on your feeder cattle. Your fat cattle trade through Thursday, they had sold several, 41,000 head. And it's interesting that they're buying that many cattle on the open negotiated cash market. Yet they're letting cattle back up, and even a pretty high percentage of the formula cattle back up because they're not being able to get them processed. But let's look at your price levels last week up through Thursday. We're 95 to mostly $1.10, and then we had dress sales from 145 all the way to 180, but 160 is where a lot of them were at. But check out these confirmed sales on Friday. Iowa had 1,600 head, from $100 to $113 live and $160 dress, so not much difference there. Nebraska 3,700 head from $112 to $115, and that's $5 higher there than what we'd seen earlier in the week. Dress sales in Nebraska 160 all the way up to 183. Kansas about 3,000 confirmed on Friday, all at 115, and Texas about 1,700 head at 115. So your market last week on a live basis was mostly $10 higher, and dress basis mostly $20 higher, and that's what an investigation does after your packers are guilty of price gouging there during a crisis, which is not looked on too favorably by the government there. Box beef cutout values for the week last week, this is the weighted average of all of last week's sales. Choice cuts, $441.53, up $92.82 a hundredweight on choice cutouts. Select, $423.38 on the weekly weighted average, up $90 and a penny. Choice select spread of $18.15, 562 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings there. Let's talk about feeder cattle. Real-time index on DV auction ended the week at 124.30, up 337. So that's a pretty good increase there. And our receipts were almost back to normal. Pretty good receipts there. And Oklahoma City, the Oklahoma National Stockyards, looking for another 11 or 12,000 here this Monday. So we're starting to kind of get those things cleaned back up with heavy receipts. But your prices and your auctions last week, through the week, $3 to $6 higher on feeder cattle for the most part, but spots as much as 10 or 12 bucks higher, especially on your most popular weights of feeder cattle from 750 to 850 pounds, right in there, right on your index cattle. Calves were not well tested, but about steady where they were tested. Got several individual quotes I want to give you. How about my buddy Jeff Azaleas there at Durant Stockyards, and I've been corrected many times. It's not Durant, it's Durant. Durant Stockyards, 123 head, 811 pounds at 125.75. That's a very impressive market there on those cattle, and I tell you what, Jeff is getting that market back up to being a difference maker right there in Durant, Oklahoma. And proud of him there. He worked with LMA up in the Midwest for a long time. Used to see him out in the sales in Missouri all the time. But his true love was owning an auction market, and he's making a pretty darn good go of it there. And you haven't seen big strings and big prices like that come out of Durant Stockyards for a long time. How about Mankato Livestock? Mankato, Kansas had 2 loads of big steers, weighed like 975 on the average at 116.35. Very impressive there. How about Crawford Livestock Market in Crawford, Nebraska? Big price on some steer calves. 94 head, 573 pound steer calves, bring 175 and a quarter. Look at this picture here of Bluegrass Stockyards in Richmond, Kentucky. A load of 866 pound steers in downtown Richmond, Kentucky at 124.90. That's impressive, guys. That's a long ways from a big commercial feedlot. But the top quote that I saw anywhere came from my buddies, the Angel Brothers out there in Eastern Missouri Commission Company, Bowling Green, Missouri. 70 head, 794 pound steers. You might as well say 800 at 129.75. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.